So you want to grow roses from seed. Congratulations. It is the best hobby in the world and you will fall in love with it. I guarantee you. Now, chances are is that you have already looked at other videos and done research on how to do this, and very good chance that you are still a little bit confused, want more information, or you're just completely overwhelmed with everything that you are seeing. And there's a lot of people that do things a lot differently. So you're like, I don't know exactly how to do this. So this video is going to be addressing the 6 basic steps of rose hybridizing and growing them from seed. It is really important to understand the basics before we start getting into details, right? We need to build a foundation, and that's going to help us be better off going from there. So what we're going to do is go over the 6 basic steps, and then after that, I'm going to give you some tips and some pointers that's really going to help your frame of mind to where you're not going to be overwhelmed, you're not going to be scared, and you're going to be able to be a lot more confident in yourself hybridizing and growing roses from seed. So let's get right to it. Step number 1, it starts with the flower. The flower has to be pollinated in order to make seeds, right? And pollination either is done by ourselves or by open pollination, which is done by the bees. But regardless of how it's done, the roses have to be pollinated. And roses only bloom for the sole purpose of reproduction. They want to supply pollen for other flowers, and they want to be able to be pollinated and grow seeds. And pollinating flowers is best done early in the season. Usually it is done late spring to early summer. Step number 2. The production of seeds and hip harvesting. After a flower has been pollinated, seeds will start growing inside of the hip, and this can take anywhere from 3 to 4 months before the hip ripens to where we can harvest it. We harvest the hips usually late summer into the fall. Step 3, we collect the seeds out of the hip and we get them clean. Now, there's a lot of fiber in the hip, and we have to get those fibers off of the seeds. The fibers prevent seeds from germinating. They're an inhibitor, right? So we have to get the seeds out and we have to get them clean. Step 4, rose seeds have to be cold stratified in order for them to germinate. Cold stratification is just a really fancy term of them feeling like they have gone through a full winter. After the winter time and temperatures start warming up, then they will start germinating. We cold stratify our seeds by keeping them cool and moist for the duration of 12 weeks. And this step is absolutely crucial. Most people that do not have seeds germinate either skipped the cold stratification completely or they did not stratify their seed long enough. Step 5, we plant the rose seeds. Rose seeds are planted about 1/4 of an inch, and they need to stay warm, preferably room temperature, and they need to stay moist. We do not want the soil to get overly wet, and we definitely do not want the soil to dry out. Most rose seeds will start germinating 2 to 4 weeks after they've been planted. Some varieties can germinate a lot sooner, and some can take longer than the 4 weeks. And the last step, step 6, is seedling care. We want to make sure that our seedlings are getting enough light, that they are not exposed to freezing temperatures, and they continue to stay moist at all times. Now, I'm going to give you a few tips that is really going to help you while you're researching, help you with your confidence, your fears. You're going to be a lot more successful with hybridizing and growing from seeds, and you will not be overwhelmed with all the information. One of the most important things to remember is that all breeders do each step a little bit different. They use different tools, they have different methods and techniques. The most important thing, though, is that they all follow these same basic steps. So when you see people doing something different, just remember what step that they're doing, because there are a lot of different ways that you can go about doing something. And the most important thing for you to do is to take note of the different techniques and try what makes sense to you. Try doing a few different methods to see what you enjoy doing, what you have better success with. Don't let one person make you feel that that is the only way to do it. Just as long as they are doing the steps, then you know that that can be a technique that you can use. There are also, unfortunately, some really bad advice given out. And one way to determine if it is bad advice is if they do not follow those steps. If they skip a step or they don't do something, then you're better off just swiping away and watching another video from someone that actually has been successful at breeding roses. The next thing is to start right now. Don't wait. The longer you wait, the more difficult it is going to be for you to start doing it. You're going to be less confident. You're going to be overwhelmed the more information that you're given that you're actually not doing, right? So you want to start right now. You don't have to start at the first step of pollination. If you notice later in the summer, if you have hips, leave the hips on and you can collect the seeds there. If you don't have seeds, then you can go ahead and purchase seeds. I have a website where I do sell seeds, and I'll link that in the description below. So if you don't have seeds, you can go on there and order seeds so you can start growing them. So you don't have to start right at the very beginning. There are different times that you can jump in to start right now. You also have to be patient. Believe me, that was probably the most difficult thing for me to do, is be patient. It takes about a year from start to end. And if you try to hurry a step up, then you're not going to be successful. Seeds have to be fully developed. Seeds have to be fully cold stratified. You have to be patient with them germinating. Sometimes seeds can take longer than 2 to 4 weeks to grow. So before you throw away your soil that you planted your seeds in, give it a little bit more time. You might start seeing germination after that 4 weeks. And because there is a lot of time in between each step, you don't have to learn everything all at once, because that can be very overwhelming too, right? Just learn what the next step is, do it, and you have enough time to learn what the next step is. So don't try to overload yourself. Just work on one thing at a time. You have plenty of time to figure out what you want to do for the next step. And you may not be successful the very first time that you attempt this, but I promise you, you learn by your experiences. You learn as you go. So if you aren't successful the first time, learn what you did or what you didn't do, and maybe just do a couple different tweaks, maybe a different method, and the next time you will be a lot more successful. And once you do become successful, stick with what you've done because it has worked for you. And last, the most important is that you need to be confident in yourself. Hybridizing and growing roses from seed can be very scary. It's a scary thought, but it is a lot easier than what you may think. The very first time that I tried, self-taught, I didn't think that I was going to have a whole lot of success, but I ended up with over 100 seedlings my very first year. And I found out that it was a lot easier than what I had first imagined. So you need to be confident in yourself and just do it. And I promise you that you will have really good success. And I do put out videos covering each individual step, so keep an eye out for those. I try to offer you different techniques and methods that you can choose to do during each step. So consider subscribing, watching the videos, and keeping your eye out for new videos coming out all the time. Have fun with your roses.